Unlock the hidden power of ancestral techniques for divine awakening. I never expected a single dream to change everything, but there I was, tangled in sheets, sweat-soaked and gasping. The vivid imagery clung to me like a second skin. Ancestors gathered around, their eyes glinting like diamonds. They spoke in whispers that slipped through the veil of night. Their voices echoed like rustling leaves, urgent, demanding my attention. Doubt clutched at my chest. I was just an ordinary person, lost in the chaos of life. My morning coffee turned bitter in my mouth as I stared blankly at the steam rising, hoping for answers that never came. The world was spinning out of control, leaving me feeling trapped. Each day blurred into the next, a series of monotonous routines. But that dream, it was a portal. Meditation had become my refuge, a silent place where I could unravel my thoughts. As I sank deeper, I felt the air crackle with energy. I could almost see the colors swirling around me, vibrant and alive. Nature whispered secrets through the rustling branches, sending shivers down my spine. Was it just a figment of my imagination? Or was the universe trying to guide me, like a flicker of light in the shadows? But that dream came with questions I didn't know how to answer. Why was I shown this vision? What did it mean? The weight of uncertainty pressed down. Did my ancestors carry a hidden message? With each passing moment, the air grew thicker, charged with a mystifying tension. As I ventured through the veil of doubt, a tremor of anticipation tingled in my fingertips. It was as if the universe held its breath alongside me. I felt a strange stirring in my soul, a beckoning that was hard to resist. In that moment, I understood. This journey was only beginning. One small step into the unknown could unlock something monumental. But just as I felt clarity emerging, it slipped away, a flickering candle extinguished before I could reach it. All I was left with was a haunting question hanging in the air. What awaited me in the depths of this journey? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The day started like every other, yet a sense of urgency thrummed beneath the surface, palpable and pressing. I felt it calling me anew, a gentle tug on my heart that was hard to ignore. The dream had illuminated a forgotten truth, one that danced in shadows, waiting to be unveiled. I had no map to guide me, only a flickering intuition. As I ventured out into the world, the air seemed charged with a myriad of possibilities. I noticed details I had overlooked in the rush of my daily life, the way the sunlight fractured through tree branches, painting intricate patterns on the ground, the laughter of children echoing in the distance, a symphony of life bursting forth in the mundane. With each step, the whispers of my ancestors grew louder, as if they were encouraging me to seek deeper knowledge. I wandered into a small local bookstore that caught my eye, its brick facade crumbling with stories untold. The scent of aged paper and ink enveloped me as soon as I stepped inside. I meandered down the aisles, letting my fingers graze the spines of books until one in particular seemed to vibrate under my touch. As I pulled it from the shelf, the title spoke to me, The Echoes of Ancestry. Sitting in a cozy nook, I thumbed through its pages, absorbing tales of ancient traditions and practices passed down through generations. Each story resonated with me, as if they were whispers from the dream. There were rituals for grounding, meditations for clarity, and invocations to honor one's roots. With every word, I could feel the threads of connection weaving tighter around Mimi lineage, my purpose, and the realization that I was not alone on this journey. As I read, the room around me began to fade, and I was thrust into a vision. I found myself standing before an ethereal river, its waters glimmering with the essence of those who had come before. The faces of my ancestors floated above, each one a flickering light, guiding me toward an understanding of my own power. I felt their hopes, their dreams, and their unfulfilled desires swirling through the air, enveloping me in a warm embrace. A figure emerged from the people in the What Era woman with kind eyes and wild curls. She gestured toward the river and said, "This is your inheritance. Every ripple carries a lesson, a burden, and a treasure. Are you ready to dive deep?" I hesitated, the weight of fear tugging at my heart. What awaited me in those depths? What revelations would surface when I confronted my lineage? The vision slowly faded, leaving me gasping in the bookstore, my heart racing. The question echoed in my mind. How far was I willing to go to unlock this hidden power? As I stepped back into the world, I felt my feet connect with the earth anew, grounded yet electrified. The questions continued to swirl. What truths were hidden in that river? What did my ancestors want me to discover? With these reflections spiraling in my thoughts, the path ahead loomed uncertain yet enticing. One thing was clear. The journey was far from over, and each moment held the potential for a new sign, revelation, or encounter. What awaited me around the next bend in this spiritual odyssey? My heart raced with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration as I sought the answer. As I stepped outside the cozy warmth of the bookstore, the coolness of the evening air washed over me like a gentle reminder of the world still turning. The street was bustling with activity, the city alive with the rhythms of those who meandered through their own stories. I walked, allowing my mind to process the vision, feeling a pull towards my next destination. The further I journeyed, the more I started to notice subtle signs around me. A street musician played a haunting melody on his violin, each note vibrating with an emotion I had not yet vocalized. I paused, entranced by the music, a familiar call resonating deep within me. It felt as if part of my own ancestral heritage danced in the notes, urging me to dig deeper into my own heart's song. Feeling the urge to connect with this moment, I approached the musician and dropped a few coins into his worn hat, feeling compelled to express my gratitude. He glanced at me, his eyes piercing as he smiled knowingly. It was as if he saw not just the surface of who I was, but flickers of the souls who had guided my path thus far. "Every song has a story," he said, his voice rich with experience. "You must learn to listen if you wish to find your own." His words struck a chord, and I found myself contemplating how music and storytelling weave through generations, binding us to our past while guiding us into the present. In that fleeting encounter, a new seed of realization took root. Perhaps the stories of my ancestors could be revealed not only through the written word but through art, expression, and the very vibrations that fill the air. With this newfound perspective tantalizing my thoughts, I continued wandering until I reached a small park. The sight of a meditation circle caught my eye, people sitting in serene silence, exchanging glances of understanding that spoke of unspoken truths. Intrigued, I approached the group, feeling an intoxicating pull to join their gathering. They welcomed me with warm smiles and open hearts, inviting me to sit among them. One woman, whose voice resonated like a bell, began to share a personal story of loss and rebirth. As she spoke, her narrative unfolded like a tapestry, exposing threads of sorrow interwoven with vibrant joy. I felt an awakening as her words touched me, illuminating the connectivity of shared struggles and triumphs. The circle shifted towards guided meditation, where we were invited to listen, to breathe, and to reach out to the echoes of our ancestors. Sitting cross-legged on the cool grass, I closed my eyes and let my mind drift. In the stillness, I felt waves of energy flowing through Maya River, perhaps pulsing with life, mirroring the vision I had just encountered. Images surfaced, flickers of faces with stories trapped within their eyes. I became aware of their hopes and dreams wrapping around me like an embrace, urging me forward. The kind woman from my vision re-emerged, her voice soft but powerful. "Dive deep, dear one. The truths you seek are not merely yours. They belong to all who came before, and all who will come after. You are part of this endless cycle." As silence enveloped us once more, I glimpsed shadows gliding through the water. Questions began to burgeon. What specifically did they want to convey? Were there techniques, rituals, or practices, undiscovered yet vital for unlocking this inheritance? The meditation concluded, yet my thoughts buzzed with energy. Upon returning to the world, the city glimmered with promise, each person a reflection of the complexities of existence. I left the circle, fueled by wonder and inquiry, realizing that to truly unlock the power within, I would need to delve deeper into the techniques that could bridge the realms of my past and present. As I walked home under the starlit sky, a realization washed over me. I was just beginning to grasp the rhythm of my ancestors' lives. There was an untold adventure waiting, and I felt compelled to search for old practices, hidden gems that might conceal the wisdom of my lineage. What rituals had been lost to time? How could they illuminate my path? As I transitioned into the quiet sanctuary of my home, I breathed deeply, allowing anticipation to mingle with uncertainty. The quest had transformed into a tapestry of questions, and I found solace in the understanding that the journey itself was just as essential as the answers I sought. What secrets lay beneath the surface of my ancestry, and how would they shape my awakening? The following days oscillated between fervent contemplation and overwhelming curiosity. Each morning, I awoke with a palpably restless spirit, as if the universe conspired to lay clues before me. My senses heightened, every light flickering in the street, every whispered conversation wafting through the air, seemed to carry with it the essence of unseen truths. The quest for ancestral wisdom had taken root within me, pushing me toward exploration. One sunny afternoon, while wandering through a quaint flea market filled with colorful stalls and eclectic treasures, I stumbled upon a small booth draped in tapestries that depicted scenes from long-forgotten cultures. Intrigued, I approached the vendor, an elderly man with deep-set eyes that sparkled like stars caught in the corners of his smile. There was a weight to his presencia, knowing that traveled through the ages. Seeker of the lost, he greeted me warmly, his voice enveloping me like a blanket woven with threads of time. What draws you to these remnants of memory? I shared my growing yearning to discover the rituals and stories of my ancestors, the river of consciousness that flowed through their existence, and the wisdom that might still ripple through my veins. The old man nodded, his eyes narrowing with understanding, as he gestured to a beautifully embossed journal resting on a shelf behind him. Every discovery deserves a vessel. Keep your thoughts, your questions, your revelations in this. I cradled the journal in my hands. I imagined the pages filling with fragments of wisdom, each entry a stepping stone toward the path I sought. I purchased the journal and continued perusing the booth, eventually selecting a delicate amulet forged from a shimmering metal. The vendor explained that it had been fashioned in an ancient tradition believed to connect the wearer with ancestral energies. "Wear it close, and let it guide you," he said, his voice tinged with gravitas. With newfound treasures in tow, I found a quiet corner in the park to reflect. Beneath the embracing shade of an ancient oak, I opened the journal and began to write. I chronicled my experiences, painting the vivid moments, leading questions, and resonating connections to my ancestors. Each stroke of the pen felt like an invocation, awakening spirits beyond the veil. As I wrote, I recalled the woman in the meditation circle, her voice imploring me to dive deeper. What threads might weave together my experiences with their ancient techniques? The words began to flow, forming questions. How did they celebrate life? What rituals did they perform to commune with their spirits? Were there practices of remembrance that could align me with their energy? Hidden beneath layers of urban life, the whispers of my lineage beckoned to me with urgency. That evening, feeling the weight of the journal resting against my side like a beacon, I ventured into an online forum dedicated to ancestral practices. Stories poured forth from those who had traversed similar paths, recounting their own discoveries and spiritual awakenings. With each post, a new vista opened, revealing techniques like journeying, sacred ceremonies, and intricate rituals designed to honor the past while forging connections to the present. I immersed myself in this newfound knowledge, collecting resources and ideas as I felt the stirrings of inspiration guiding me. And yet, the deeper I delved, the more I sensed an underlying mystery. The collective wisdom was vast, teeming with techniques and practices, yet I was still at the precipice of discovery. What if the specific key to unlock my ancestral power was unique to me? I longed to bridge my own experience with the richness of those who had come before, yet the question lingered. Where did I fit within the vast tapestry of existence? In seeking their traditions, was I also destined to create my own? As days turned into weeks, the answers seemed elusive, like shadows darting just out of sight, but I felt a palpable shift within. The pull towards ancestry had transformed into a recognition of my own potential, an invitation to deepen into the questions that stirred my spirit. Those bright nights spent under the stars offered their own wisdom, guiding me to the perennial truth that each individual's journey is unique. How might blending the whispers of the past with my current experiences craft something wholly new? With uncertainty and excitement brewing inside me, I prepared myself for the unfolding ahead. I was on the cusp of something profound, straddling the lines of history and destiny. What would my exploration reveal about the intricate relationship between learning from the past and embodying a future yet unformed? As I sat in the evening stillness, I pondered the balance between honoring my ancestry while carving a luminous path all my own. In the weeks that followed, my life blossomed into a vibrant tapestry woven with threads of connection and discovery. Each day, I ventured further into the world of ancestral wisdom, often finding solace in forgotten rituals that invoked a deeper sense of belonging. The amulet around my neck began to feel like an extension of my spirit, pulsating with the energy of those whose lives had come before me. One crisp morning, fueled by a sense of purpose, I joined a local gathering of individuals dedicated to exploring the sacred practices of various cultures. The community buzzed with energy, filled with stories that danced through the air like wind-rippled leaves. It was here where the threads of my past began to intertwine with the lives of others seeking the same mysterious truths. During the gathering, a woman named Ilara approached me. Her face radiated warmth, and her eyes sparkled with an inviting curiosity. "What brings you to our circle?" she asked, her voice a melody that resonated deep within my spirit. "I long to understand the wisdom of my ancestors," I replied, feeling vulnerable yet open for exploration. "I believe there might be practices that could lead me to a more profound understanding of myself." Ilara nodded knowingly and invited me to share breakfast with her. As we sipped herbal tea and savored baked goods, she recounted her own journey of pilgrimage through ancient temples and sacred sites. "Every place has a heartbeat," she said, "a silent story waiting to be felt. Your ancestors might be whispering to you in the places where they once found solace." Her words ignited a spark within me. I felt compelled to embark on a journey that blended her insights with my quest. What if there were locations tied to my lineage that could enhance my search? Suddenly, I envisioned sacred groves and ancient hills, places rich with the energy of my forebears, resonating with shared memories and wisdom. Days turned into weeks of exploration and preparation. I began to trace the geography of my ancestry, mapping out the locations that held significance within the stories I had gleaned. Each site I marked on my map deepened my resolve. I felt an excitement building inside me, like the swell of a wave building toward the shore, eager to crash with purpose. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars blinked into existence, I found myself sitting in quiet meditation, contemplating the newfound path. Suddenly, a vision washed over me, a fleeting moment of clarity amidst scattered images. Sacred fires, communal gatherings, laughter mingling with tears, and a great tree rooted in the earth, echoing generations of wisdom. In this moment, profound questions danced around Muhat. If I needed to witness these sights, to feel the ground where my ancestors walked, to offer my own prayers and intentions, would it be there, amidst these ancient energies, that I would find the fusion of their practices with my own voice? As I fell deeper into the vision, I sensed a call to leave behind the comfort of familiarity and venture out into the world. Perhaps my journey required a physical pilgrimage, a tangible quest to honor those who had come before. Could my feet, heavy with intention, imbue life into these forgotten spaces? Would I unearth techniques wholly unique to my heart that intertwined the past with my present? With the journal as my compass, I started to catalog the various practices and ceremonies I could incorporate into my journey. Among them was a merging of art and ritual, a form of expression that fused the ancestral songs and dances with my own creativity. I envisioned gathering elements from nature stones, leaves, and featherstone create offerings at each site along my path. That night, as the moon bathed my room in soft silver light, I wrote a line in my journal that echoed within me like a siren's call. What if I stood at the threshold of my ancestry, ready to blend their wisdom with my own unique voice, giving birth to something entirely new? I closed the journal and drifted into sleep, my dreams filled with images of those ancestors who had journeyed before me, each one a flickering candle lighting my way forward. As I lay there hovering between worlds, one profound question lingered like the embers of a fading fire. If I immerse myself fully in the practices of my ancestors, will I find the power to unlock my own identity, or will I merely become a reflection of their past? In embracing their wisdom, how might I open up pathways that have yet to be discovered? The morning light poured into my room, casting an amber glow on the walls and illuminating the pages of my journal. I awoke with a renewed sense of urgency pulsing through my veins. The dream lingered tantalizingly, urging me to immerse deeper into the essence of my ancestry. With each ritual and offering I integrated into my life, I felt a connection strengthening, a thread weaving itself into the very fabric of who I was becoming. Eager to embark on my pilgrimage, I traced my finger over the marked locations on my map. Each site beckoned with the promise of rediscovery, the chance to commune with spirits long gone yet ever present. From an ancient grove, said to be the meeting place of my ancestors, to the remnants of a forgotten temple standing silently against the test of time, I felt the pull of the land stirring something primal within me. I set out on a clear Saturday morning, the air fresh and fragrant with the scent of blooming wildflowers. My heart raced as I approached the first site, a sprawling oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching toward the sky, as if trying to touch the very heavens. I was awestruck, sensing the energy that radiated from the great tree, a being that had witnessed countless stories throughout the ages. I placed my hand against its rough bark, closing my eyes and inviting the whispers of my ancestors to emerge as I stood in silence. I felt an unfolding a connection to the earth, igniting memories I had never known. Visions of gatherings under this very tree flickered behind my eyelids. Laughter, community, voices raised in song. The tree became a portal, flooding my senses with the essence of those who had come before. I whispered my name into the air, an offering, and held space for the energy of my lineage to guide me. With each subsequent location I visited, a new layer of understanding revealed itself. At a serene riverbank, I folded paper boats adorned with prayers and let them dance upon the water's surface. Each one a message carried downstream to the ancestors whose lives were intertwined with that land. I felt joy radiating from the spirits of long ago, celebrating this communion, this ritual of connection. However, traditional practices began to feel insufficient. Something deeper stirred inside me. It became clear that my journey was also one of innovation, a call to reinterpret these ancestral techniques. I began to experiment, merging the old ways with my own creative expression. As I painted the landscapes that inspired me, I infused my art with the wisdom drawn from the rituals I witnessed, creating an ancestral collage that welcomed both reverence and personal truth. Yet, amidst my exploration, I encountered a paradox. While seeking to unlock the hidden power of my lineage, I couldn't help but grapple with an unsettling realization. Was I merely replicating their dreams, or was I feeding my own soul's yearning for authenticity? In a world full of rediscovery, could my voice echo through the corridors of time without being confined by it? Seeking answers, I ventured to a quiet mountain pass, where the air hung with the scent of pine and possibility. I found a secluded spot, hugging the earth with my body as I entered a deep meditation. I yearned for guidance, asking the question that gnawed at my spirit. What is the delicate balance between honoring my ancestors and discovering my own identity? The universe seemed to speak back through the rustling leaves, a gentle reminder that my journey was not about choosing one path over another, but rather honoring the duality of existence. In the silence, I felt a warm breeze assemble around me, a tangible clarity surging through my being. That night, beneath a tapestry of stars, I scribbled furiously in my journal. Insight flowed through me like the streams I had drawn from, a revelation that drew me closer to the essence of my quest. My ancestors had armed me with wisdom not merely to emulate but to awaken the latent potential within myself. The threads of their stories begged to intertwine with mine, but that transformation required courage and the willingness to embrace the unknown. As I gazed up at the stars, countless questions punctuated the vastness of the night. What gifts lay in the merging of the past with my uncharted future? How might I shape the sacred practices to reflect my own journey while preserving the integrity of my heritage? In seeking to unlock the divine awakening nurturing within me, how would I ensure that my ancestors' spirits danced alive in the legacy I created? With my journal as a vessel of discovery, I felt momentum building within me, but the quest was far from over. I clutched a nugget of truth in my heart, one that shimmered like stardust, a truth that promised my journey would uncover realms yet to be explored, boundless possibilities teetering on the edge of the sacred. As dawn broke over the horizon, I felt a gentle nudge urging me to rise earlier than usual, an instinct urging me to seek the places that lay beyond the familiar. The air was crisp as the sun began to paint the world in soft tones of gold and amber. Today, I would venture toward a hillside adorned with legends, rumors of an ancient stone circle, said to amplify the energies of those who came to honor it. It was a place where the veil between worlds thinned, where earth and spirit danced an intricate waltz. The journey to the circle was imbued with an electric anticipation, each step drawing me closer to yet another fragment of my heritage. The sounds of nature surrounded me, birds chirping, leaves whispering each note, a reminder that life pulses vibrantly in even the most silent corners of existence. As I ascended the winding path, time seemed to suspend, and I found myself reflecting on my previous encounters. They had laid a foundation, yet the deeper I delved, the more it became evident that the journey was a spiral, coiling back upon itself, inviting me to look at the same truths through emerging lenses. When I finally stood before the stone circle, I was greeted by the stoic figures, each stone an edifice of ancient wisdom and forgotten memories. Covered in moss and etched by time, they lent an atmosphere of reverence and mystery. Curiosity surged through my veins as I walked among them, tracing the outlines and feeling the vibrations that reverberated just beneath the surface. Embracing the circle's energy, I sat in the center, conscious of the sacred geometry surrounding me. I closed my eyes, once again inviting the spirits of my ancestors to join my meditation. I began to visualize the interplay of past, present, and future, the cycles of existence, woven together like an intricate tapestry. The stillness enveloped me, creating a sacred pause to reflect on the questions simmering within. What was my role in this confluence of time? How could I embody the wisdom of those before me while also carving a distinct path of my own? Suddenly, a vivid vision flickered to life. I saw myself, not just in this moment but in a vibrant dance of generations. I was a bridging lineage behind me, guiding me, giving me strength and inspiration, while before me stood a landscape uncharted, glittering with potential and vibrant colors yet to be painted. I understood, for perhaps the first time, that to honor my ancestors did not require rigid adherence to their paths but rather a celebration of the wild multiplicity that was my own journey. As I emerged from the vision, clarity washed over me, accompanied by an exhilarating sense of responsibility. I realized that my path was neither about amassing knowledge to replicate their experiences nor dismissing them entirely. Instead, it was about synthesizing the beauty of their wisdom with the daring of my unique voice. The imprints they left upon my soul were not simply shadows. They were sparks igniting a flame of transformation within me. With newfound resolve, I began to murmur my own intentions aloud amid the stones, casting vibrant prayers into the ether. I envisioned my artistic expressions and rituals intertwined with the legacy of my ancestors, creating a rich, evolving tapestry that honored both time and authenticity. It felt like each word echoed back to me, swallowed by the stones, reverberating through the ages as if the ancestors were joining me in chorus, affirming this dynamic repartee between past and present. As I prepared to leave, I looked back at the stone circle, its silent guardians watching over me with wise eyes. With each step away, I pondered the charges I had received from the spirits. a gentle reminder that the quest for my own identity rested not solely in the exploration of the ancient but in the courage to embrace what was yet unfolding. By the time I reached the base of the hill, the sun had fully risen, illuminating my path forward. Yet, new questions arose, rippling through my consciousness. How can I bridge the gap between honoring my ancestors and crafting a legacy that speaks to the heart of my soul's journey? In this dance of connection and innovation, where might I find the courage to be both the storyteller and storyteller, crafting a sacred narrative that is distinctly and beautifully my own? With these questions reverberating within me, I ventured forward, the spirit of adventure igniting a flame in my heart. The journey was becoming a living tapestry of revelations, each thread vibrant and colorful, leading me ever closer to unlocking that hidden power while the true answers, I sensed, still lay just beyond the horizon. As I descended the hillside, the path before me seemed to shimmer with potential, each footfall sending echoes of purpose through the earth. I felt the pull of the unknown, drawing me to explore further, to embrace the countless shadows of knowledge that danced just beyond my awareness. My heart beat with a fervor that both excited and unsettled me. I was no longer just seeking answers but embracing the richness of the questions themselves. With the stone circle fading into the distance, I wandered toward a nearby brook, its gentle babble singing sweetly through the air. The water sparkled as sunlight penetrated its depths, revealing brightly hued pebbles lining the bottom, each a treasure waiting to be discovered. Kneeling by its edge, I cupped my hands and splashed the cool water onto my face, feeling it awaken something primal within me. As I sat there, in the stillness of a moment punctuated only by the sounds of nature, an old woman appeared at the water's edge, her presence both grounding and ethereal. Her skin was weathered like the bark of an ancient tree, her eyes twinkling with the wisdom of her years. She wore a shawl woven from threads of grass and feathers, shimmering with colors that changed with the light, reminiscent of both land and sky. "You seek the divine, yet what you already hold is sacred," she said, her voice a whisper of wind through leaves. I looked into her eyes, struggling to oppose the urge to look away from the depth of her knowing. "You are woven together with those who came before you. Their stories pulse through your very veins. What must I do to honor them?" I replied, surprised by the vulnerability in my own voice. I felt as if I stood before a mirror, the old woman reflecting my essence back to me. The woman smiled gently. "You must not only listen, child. You must also create. Your ancestors have left their imprints for you to interpret, to dance with." She gestured toward the brook, its waters caressing the stones in an eternal embrace. "Like the rapture of water, let your spirit flow freely, but know that you carry the gravity of your lineage with you." In her words, I felt an invitation burst for the call to honor both the fluidity of my own journey and the steadfast roots from which I had emerged. Suddenly, twigs broken and fallen leaves scattered along the bank became symbols in my mind, each a piece of the puzzle waiting to be arranged in new patterns. What beauty could arise if I allowed myself to weave together the wisdom of my ancestors with the dynamic expressions of my own story? As if reading my thoughts, the woman spoke again. "You will find significance in the simple. Allow your experiences, the mundane moments intertwined with the divinetto, cultivate your craft. There are teachings all around you. The earth whispers them to those who listen." At that, she swept her hand across the brook, and I was transfixed by the intricate dance of light upon the surface. Would I dare to gather these reflections, allow them to inspire me anew? The question drifted through my mind like a feather carried by the breeze. "Thank you," I whispered, my heart full as I met her gaze one last time. I understood that the journey ahead still held mysteries ripe for discovery, that the threads of my identity would continue to intertwine with my ancestors. Each new endeavor would require me to dig deep and emerge with the vibrancy of my uniqueness. As the woman began to fade into the ether, I felt a lingering warmth within my chest, a promise that I was not alone. I rose and followed the course of the brook, my spirit alight with curiosity. With every elegant bend in the waterway, I sensed that I was also bending, reshaping the very story of my existence. Emboldened by the lessons of those before me, emerging from the woods into a clearing, I found myself astonished by the array of wildflowers swaying gently in the wind. The sight was lively, and I knelt down to gather a handful, each flower a unique story of resilience and beauty. With each vibrant bloom, I experienced the vivacity of life itself, testimony that miracles lie not just in the grand, but intricately laced throughout the ordinary. As I collected the flowers, reflection flowed through me once more. How would I translate these moments, the simple yet profound, into a legacy worth crafting? Each encounter, each thread in the tapestry of my life, beckoned me to dive deeper into exploration and expression. With this newfound awareness nestled in my heart, a question lingered brightly. How can I let the world see not only the strength of my ancestry, but also the lush innovation that arises when I embrace my own voice? Thus, with flowers in hand and questions swirling within, I took my next steps forward, eagerly anticipating the exploration of what was yet to unfold. The path ahead shimmered, its potential unfathomable, and I felt the pulse of a divine awakening at my fingertips, awaiting my embrace. The sound of the brook faded into a soft, rhythmic lull, and with each step forward, I began to sense the heartbeat of the earth beneath me. The wildflowers, now a fragrant bouquet nestled in my hands, reminded me of the painter's palette, bursting with colors that mirrored the spectrum of experiences that had shaped my very essence. Yet, the vibrant beauty of the flowers stood in stark contrast to the shadows of uncertainty that lingered within me. There was more to discover, pieces yet to connect. Following the trail, I came upon an ancient tree, its gnarled roots both inviting and formidable. I could see that it had weathered many storms, its bark etched with the stories of seasons long past. Enchanted, I approached, settling at its base, where I felt an overwhelming urge to reach out and touch the rough texture of its skin. As my fingers grazed the bark, an inexplicable surge coursed through me, a connection not only to the tree but to the cycles of life it represented. Nestled among the entwined roots, I spotted something glimmering in the soft soil, a small, smooth stone, polished by time. I picked it up, captivated by its sheen. It was unlike any other I had encountered. In my mind, I envisioned my ancestors, their hands perhaps touching the same stone, their stories coiling around it like the vines that frequented the forest. What wisdom lay buried beneath its surface? As I turned the stone over in my palm, I felt a shift in the air, as if the very essence of the forest stirred. Suddenly, I was entwined in a a fleeting glimpse of a gathering beneath the moonlight, faces glowing with joy and sorrow, laughter merging with solemn chants. I could see flames crackling in a fire pit, illuminating the ethereal bonds of sharing and remembrance. Then, a voice, deep and melodic, reached me through the haze. Remember the sacred, for it flows through you still. Startled, I released the stone, watching it tumble back into the clutch of soil as reality reasserted itself. My heart raced with the magics of knowledge glimpsed through that moment. The gathering I had witnessed, the ceremonial passing of wisdom, had somehow drawn me closer to the profound heritage I sought to embrace. What was the significance of that gathering? I couldn't shake the feeling that my journey awaited a deeper connection with the rituals of my forebears. There was a calling in the very essence of the stone, a link between what I had seen and what I could create. Standing up from my perch, I felt the urge to collect more than just flowers. I needed to gather the fragments of my lineage and let them inform my own practices. Reinvigorated, I set out to explore the area surrounding the tree, the world now pulsing alive with meaning. I allowed my fingers to brush along leaves and petals, awakening to a symphony of sensations. Each wandering thought and rustling branch felt charged with energy, like fingerprints left by those who had walked this sacred ground before. Was there a technique, a tradition I had yet to discover that could harmonize my essence with my lineage? As I roamed, whispers whispered through the wind, intertwining with the very essence of the forest, beckoning me to listen more closely. I stopped by a nearby clearing where a circle of stones stood guard over the earthen ancient circle, echoing the ones I had left behind. This setting felt like a shrine of ancestral energy, a space where reverence lingered, waiting for my acknowledgement. The stones, worn yet steadfast, resonated with an invitation to share stories, to enact the rituals that had been lost to time. How could I breathe life into these stones and create a legacy from their silence? The thought sent a cascading rhythm through my heart, a dance of creation calling out each question, unlocking more layers of my spirit. I closed my eyes, allowing the stillness to envelop me, and felt the sun warming my skin. Much like the stories passed down through time have warmed souls in dark moments. What did this moment ask of me? What techniques would allow me to weave my narrative within the vibrant fabric of my ancestors' teachings? The answers swirled around me, elusive yet tantalizing, shaping a new understanding without offering a conclusion. With that, I returned to the grounding presence of the ancient tree, filled with uncertainty but joyful in the possibilities at hand. The journey ahead shimmered anew, vibrant with vibrancy yet unexplored. My heart swelled as I whispered a quiet prayer, both a promise and a question. How can I both honor and innovate the stories of my ancestors, transforming their timeless teachings into my living truth? The gentle rustle of leaves overhead broke the early morning silence as I made my way back home, the bouquet of wildflowers still fresh in my hands and the polished stone nestled safely in my pocket. Each step felt like a dance upon the earth, a step toward a deeper connection with those who came before me. The sun cast a soft golden light around me, illuminating the potential that surrounded each moment. It was a bright reminder of the divine spirit within and the mysterious path that lay ahead. Returning home, the familiar walls welcomed me as if embracing me in their warmth. I could feel the energy-shifting echoes of past and present intertwining, nudging me to reflect on my journey thus far. I settled into my favorite nook, where the sunlight spilled through the window, casting warmth on the pages of my journal, the vessel that held my revelations. As I opened to a fresh page, ready to document the sights and insights from my day, a surge of inspiration flowed through me. I could now feel the whispers of my ancestors amplifying in my heart and mind, guiding me toward a powerful realization. The stone I had discovered by the ancient tree felt significant. It was not just a relic of the past but a key not only to unlock the secrets of ancestry, but also to empower my unique voice in crafting a legacy. I began writing furiously, not just about the experiences I had encountered but about the techniques I could embrace. More than mere traditions, I now perceived them as cells of wisdom that could breathe life into my existence, infusing the vibrancy of innovation into every act of remembrance. I envisioned rituals merging ancestral practices with my personal expression, ceremonies held under the stars, guided by art, movement, and song that honored both the past and future. It struck me then how easily we allow ourselves to forget that our lineage is alive in every moment. The features of our ancestors reside within us, their struggles, their joys, their creativity, and, most importantly, their persistence to carve their place in the world. I realized the true essence of the journey was not solely about uncovering history, but rather about creating a dynamic dialogue between the past and the present. Could I be the originator of this conversation? With each word I penned, I felt the pulse of life reverberating through my being. I began to sketch out my intentions. What rituals could I adapt? What songs might I compose? What art could I showcase that would honor both my ancestors and illuminate my truth? I envisioned inviting friends and family to celebrate a gathering of hearts and spirits on sacred lands, where stories could be shared and creativity fostered. Every artwork created, every story told, transformed into an act of honoring those who paved the way for my voice to emerge. As I wrote, I remembered the woman by the brook, her gentle reminder to embrace the sacred within the simple, to recognize that the everyday could contain the essence of the divine. Each meal prepared could become a ritual, each conversation shared, an invocation, each breath taken, a prayer, a way to integrate my ancestry into the mundane flow of life. It was time to bridge the gap, to reclaim those sacred moments of connection, not as echoes but as vibrant declarations. I set aside my journal, the heart of my reflections lingering over me like a comforting blanket. The energy around me seemed to pulse in affirmation, as though validating this powerful revelation. The journey had not only unveiled techniques but had nurtured a profound awakening, one where I could craft my narrative through the ancestral lens, respecting the roots while growing branches toward the light. That evening, as the sun set and the twilight deepened, I felt a connection to something greater than myself. I ventured to the gathering circle I had envisioned, though still a spark in my mind. It felt palpable, alive with possibility. I would invite others to join me, to co-create a tapestry woven with our stories. Side by side, we would honor the past while forging a vibrant new narrative where every note sung, poem recited, and dance performed would resonate with the harmonies of our shared lineage. As I stood under the twinkling stars, a sense of profound peace washed over me. The path to uncovering ancestral wisdom had opened not only a doorway to my past but unleashed a torrent of creativity that poured forth from my soul. I felt it pulsing, alive and vibrant, ready to take flight, transform my life and the lives of those in my community. With every heartbeat, I knew I was no longer merely a seeker of ancestral wisdom. I was now becoming the weaver of legacy, embracing the dance of creation, anchoring my past, while stepping forward into my own distinctive story. I had awakened from a dream that had seemed daunting and mysterious into a reality filled with interconnectedness, creativity, and deep understanding. And so, I raised my arms toward the night sky, letting the cool night breeze ripple through my being. The secrets I sought were not just moments locked away in time but currents of wisdom dancing in the air waiting to be discovered, embraced, and shared in this intricate tapestry of existence. I now recognized the deep truth, that the power of my ancestry resides not only in their stories, but in the stories I choose to tell. And as the stars blanketed the expansive sky, a quiet assurance settled within me. This journey had just begun, and the dance of creation awaited my every step. The hidden power of the past was mine to awaken, and the future was a canvas alive and waiting for my brush. For in the weaving lies the wisdom, and in the creation, the legacy.